If you're so sure, let's bet $100 on it.
$100? $100? Would you like to lose $100, Tom?
Welcome back to another episode of Fighting Words. I'm your host, Carissa Maxwell, joined as always by senior combat writer Andreas Hale and senior combat editor Tom Gray. We are just 2 weeks out from a fight that we've been waiting for literally years. And that, of course, is Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford for the undisputed welterweight world championship. That fight will be on Saturday, July 29th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas on Showtime pay-per-view. And Andreas and I will be on site all week, bringing you all the Fight Week content. And I'm sure we will have plenty to talk about then. But I want to start talking about this fight now. And the reason being, unlike all of the other super fights that have been made or announced this year, the difference with this fight, aside from there being all the belts on the line in a major title fight, is that you two disagree on who you think will win and why. And not just disagree, you passionately disagree. So in the essence of Fighting Words, in the spirit of our namesake, I want to dedicate this episode to allowing you two to spar it out and make your case so that we can hold you accountable on July 30th. And with that, my one question for you today is, when it comes to the title fight for undisputed world welterweight champion between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford, who do you have winning and why?
I've liked Terence Crawford in this fight ever since it was first suggested. And to broaden it, I just think he's a better fighter. You know, I think that Errol Spence is quick, and I think Terence Crawford is quicker. I think Errol Spence has got terrific talent. I think that Crawford has got more talent. I think that Errol Spence has got a lot of spite in his game. I was ringside when he fought Kell Brook and won the title. Anytime Kell had any success, particularly in the second half, Spence came back blazing and put him back in the box. Still think that Crawford has got even more spite to his game. He's not had a distance fight, Terence Crawford, in 7 years. I think despite his age, his advancing years, I think he's still fresh. You know, same with Spence. I just think that he wins this fight, becomes undisputed champion, and conceivably could do it by stoppage.
My goodness. Okay, Tom. Errol Spence has a better resume than Terence Crawford. He's a career welterweight. He has fought Danny Garcia. He's fought Yordenis Ugas. He fought Sean Porter before Terence Crawford fought Sean Porter. He fought Kell Brook before Terence Crawford fought Kell Brook. I like Terence Crawford. I think Terence Crawford is an incredible fighter, but he's up against easily the best opponent he's ever faced. I think Errol Spence is a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. I get your point with the spitiness, though, but I think we got to see Errol Spence deal with spite so we can give it right back to him. I think Errol Spence wins this fight. I think there is opportunity here for Spence to impose his size, will, and he wants to prove everybody wrong because he's wanted this fight for so long. I don't think he'll stop him. I think it'll be a hell of a fight, but I'm picking Errol Spence. The numbers don't lie. Spence has had the better opposition.
Okay, I mean, first of all, we're saying that this is the best fighter that Errol Spence has, or this is the best fighter that Errol Spence has ever faced, and vice versa. You know, Errol Spence has never faced anyone as good as Terence Crawford in his entire career, despite being a career-long welterweight. This is no Sean Porter. This is no Danny Garcia. This is no Yordenis Ugas. Crawford's the best he's ever faced. In terms of imposing his size, I disagree with you here. I think that boxing does come down to size on occasion, but you need to weigh up the style. You know, Spence isn't the type of guy to impose himself physically. He is a boxing conservative. He'll give Crawford time. He's not going to chase him down. He'll have too much respect for what Crawford can do back to him. You can't take a liberty and just chase down Terence Crawford or he'll get hurt, essentially. So this is going to be a straight-up boxing match. And in a situation like that, size doesn't really play a factor. And even though Spence is the naturally bigger man, I would ask, is he necessarily the bigger puncher of the two? I don't think so. Like I say, Crawford he's not gone the distance in 7 years. Spence often fights very economically, does enough to get the job done. Even against a lighter man like Mikey Garcia, never had him in serious trouble, didn't get him out of there. Do you think that Mikey Garcia would go 12 rounds against Terence Crawford? I doubt it. So, yeah, despite the fact that he's bigger, don't think that plays into it. I think skills pay the bills.
Yeah, so you mentioned that Terence Crawford hasn't gone the distance for several years. He hasn't gone the distance as a welterweight, but let's see. He's fought Kell Brook. Who's he fought?
Jeff Horn, Mean Machine. Yeah, we know all that. You know, I've been saying, I get it. But just because he's not fought at the level, at this elite level, doesn't mean he can't perform when he gets there. And the same goes the other way. I mean, as much as you can talk about Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is no Terence Crawford. Ugas is no Terence Crawford. Yes, he's got a better resume at welterweight without a shadow of a doubt, but it's not to the extent. It's not like he's been in with guys of Crawford's level. He hasn't. And Crawford hasn't been at Spence's level. That ice cuts both ways.
Has Terence Crawford been in there with somebody that hits as hard as Errol
You're
Spence?
losing,
Now, I know
man.
that you... Who?
You're losing.
You're
You
bugging.
need to come with
Listen,
better stuff than this.
Terence Crawford...
Wait, hold on. Wait,
No, you...
I know.
What?
I'm
Carissa,
so sorry.
You're getting
I'm so
in the
sorry.
way.
But to Tom's point, Errol Spence Jr. is going into this fight as the underdog, according to the Las Vegas sportsbooks. So I wanted to kind of hit the reset button and give you the opportunity to make your point, make your rebuttal as to why you think that Errol Spence Jr. is the no-brainer to win this fight, even though Terence Crawford is the favorite heading into it.
Yeah. Call him the underdog all you want, because people are infatuated with Terence Crawford's run of knockouts against lesser opposition or opposition that Spence has already beat. Errol Spence broke Kell Brook's orbital bone. When we want to talk about power, he broke the man's face. Errol Spence, when push comes to shove, has dog in him. He hasn't needed to use it. Terence Crawford is a dog. Don't get me wrong, but he hasn't fought a big puncher yet. He hasn't fought anybody that's given him problems. Mean Machine buzzed Terence Crawford. I think Errol Spence is a lot better boxer than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford's a great slugger. He's a switch hitter. He adjusts. But what I'm telling you here is Errol Spence's jab, size, and his will to win is different. I know that Terence Crawford's been a beast, but he's done it against opponents who allow him to do that to him. Errol Spence is different. Terence Crawford's going to have somebody that's got to get off of him for 12 rounds, and he's going to have to deal with a long jab and a great boxing pedigree. I've seen Errol Spence in the gym. He's a dog. Terence Crawford's going to get it out of him that night, and he's going to get bit by the man known as Errol Spence Jr., who carries 3 belts, is adding 1 more.
Belts don't matter in this situation. It's the matchup. First of all, talking about Kell Brook getting his face fractured, let's not forget that Gennady Golovkin had already weakened Kell Brook's face in the fight prior at middleweight. He'd already sustained an orbital injury. Also, in terms of turning around and saying that Errol Spence is a better boxer than Terence Crawford, I don't get it. I mean, he has got a brilliant grasp of the basics. Maybe in terms of elite level, he's maybe got the best basics in the game. The bottom line, though, is that he essentially fights the same way. It's the same stuff over and over. You know what you're going to get from Errol Spence. Brilliant basics, break his guy, get down and take him out late, or go the distance like he's been going recently. Terence Crawford has got more ways to win. He's more versatile. He's a switch hitter. He can knock you out to the body, can knock you out to the head. He can take you out early, he can take you out late. He has got more ways to win this fight. And in terms of who's got dog in him, it's not like Errol Spence has never been hurt. You know, there's a fighter called Emmanuel Lartey who shook Errol Spence up many, many years ago. Danny Garcia got to him. Sean Porter got to him. Ugas in a kind of awkward moment where the referee yelled break, hit him and got a reaction. I think that Terence Crawford can hurt Errol Spence in this fight. And I would also question, you know, is he necessarily all the way back after such a serious car smash as he had? I'm not going to make excuses for him. He's as good as he's ever going to be, and he needs to be ready on fight night. But I think that the skids are greased for Terence Crawford to win this fight, like I say, by knockout. And I think, mate, if you're so sure, let's bet $100 on it.
$100? $100? Would you like to lose $100, Tom? Listen, you keep talking about Terence Crawford has more ways to win, but again, the opposition that he's faced has allowed him to do that. These aren't great opponents. Jose Benavidez? Are we serious right now? Like, Errol Spence is fought.
Who is Errol Spence fought of this caliber? Who is Errol Spence fought of Terence Crawford's caliber?
I'm not talking about Terence Crawford's caliber. I'm talking about better than Terence Crawford's opponents. Like, your Dennis Ugas is better than most opponents that Terence Crawford has faced. Sean Porter's it's not good enough.
Doesn't matter.
All right.
And at the end of the day, Porter pushed Spence to the limit. Crawford knocked him out. Crawford handed him his first stoppage loss. So wait.
Tom. You just said that Gennady Golovkin softened up Kell Brook for Errol Spence. What do you think Errol Spence did to Sean Porter for Terence Crawford?
Right, fair play. Right, that's a decent argument. Doesn't matter. See all in terms of who they fought before and who they fought years ago. None of that's going to matter on fight night. It's man against man, right? So $100. You taking the bet?
Hell yeah, I'm taking the bet. I'm taking your damn money, Tom.
I'll send
up.
You account number 4.
You know what I'm gonna do with my $100? I'm gonna buy you a picture. I'm gonna buy you a picture of Errol Spence beating Terence Crawford, and I'm gonna send it to you, and I'm gonna autograph it.
What do you think the score is, Carissa? 120, 108 to me. This was easier than I expected.
Don't try to get her involved. She ain't got nothing to do with this. You trying to get love from the other side, trying to get votes against me. I know that Errol Spence is the underdog, but the man is undefeated, career welterweight, fighting a guy who's moving
for another
up.
2 weeks. He's undefeated for another, how many days is it? How many days? It's 17 days. He's undefeated for another 17 days.
You must be talking about your guy. You must be talking about Bud Crawford. Bud super competitive Crawford.
Wait. Hold on. Are we talking 100 US dollars, quid, pounds? What's the currency here?
Yeah, I said dollars. I'll go in Andreas currency. It's about 80. It's about 80 quid in my change.
Okay. Just taking notes, so on July 30th, I can hold someone accountable.
Despite the argument that Andreas puts up or I put up, we know the caliber of opposition on either side here, regardless of who you're picking. It's two of the best fighters in the world. It smacks of Leonard versus Hearns. It's got it all. Fair enough. I think both guys are just slightly past their best. They're not at the same stage of their careers that Leonard and Hearns were, who were in their early and mid-20s at that time. But when you've got a fight that's going to essentially decide the premier fighter in a top weight class, the welterweight division has been electric for decades. Going back to, at least in my lifetime watching boxing, Pernell Whitaker, Oscar De La Hoya, Felix Trinidad, Ike Quarters, Manny Pacquiao. It's the best of the best that we're coming down to here. And these two guys have been so dominant, and getting them in the ring together for all the marbles, it's a rarity, and I just hope the fight delivers. The fight needs to equip the build-up. That's what's important. The build-up at the end of the day, come July 30, the build-up doesn't mean a thing. What you need here is a great fight.
Yeah, I think there's no question we're going to get a great fight between these two, because you have two people who, they're cordial with each other, but they're ultra competitive. If you looked at every single press conference, all they've talked about is wanting to beat down the other man. And not under no uncertain terms do they want to both have knockouts in this fight. There's a respect level here because they know what the other has to offer, but there is this competitive nature, and especially with Terence Crawford, and especially with Errol Spence, who's been hunting this down to be undisputed, they want to be the best in the world. There is no, I want to make the most money, who's got the biggest purse, who could have the biggest sideshow. These are two fighters at the top of their game, looking to be the best in the world, and they know what they're standing across the ring from on that Saturday night, July 29th. And July 30th, one of their O's has got to go, but we also got to keep in mind, these two know nothing else but being world champions for the better part of nearly a decade. So somebody's going home for the first time in over 5 years with no belts. That's big. That's huge, and that's what's making this fight such a big deal.
Andreas, I've just thought your headline in advance, right? Just Terence the Truth Crawford. That's your headline, right? No,
Tom, no. It's Shark Week. It's belt collector time for Errol Spence. We know what he's been doing. He's been knocking at the door of Terence Crawford for all these years. Terence Crawford just fought David Avanesian. Who cares? He's got a dog in front of him that's coming to collect. And guess what? After he collects, I'm collecting. July 30th, pay your fare, sir. Pay your fare.
I'll send you my slot on the pick number.
Well, we'll just have to wait until July 30th to find out who actually won this debate and $100. I will make sure you exchange Venmos. But in the meantime, we are so excited that this fight is finally happening. Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford for the undisputed welterweight world championship title on Saturday, July 29th on Showtime pay-per-view. It is about damn time we are seeing this matchup, and we will see you there during fight week. But we still got 2 more weeks. So in the meantime, I'm Chris Maxwell for Andreas Hale and Tom Gray. We will see you next week here on Fighting Words.